All right, so tomorrow is a quick vocabulary reminder and then some more time. So I would want them to read this fraction out loud. So I'd ask the kids, shade what? How do we say this? And if if they struggle, by this point they shouldn't be struggling as much, but remember, say, well, what does D denominator mean? Divide by 2. So if I divide this into 2, hi-ya! You cut it in half. So that's what I would want in the blank. Shade half of an hour. So if you divide the clock in half, they would be shading half of it. And then I would go directly below. Half of an hour is blank minutes. Some may already know it's 30 minutes, which is awesome. If not, and if they say 30, go, well, let me see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Even when I have a lot of kids shout the right answer, I still, pretend quotations to check it for the ones who don't know. That way I'm modeling for all kids how they could find it if they don't have it memorized. All right, I'd ask the kids how to read this fraction. Shade 1/4. Well, what does 1/4 mean? I'd ask them. Well, hopefully they'll say, we'll shade 1 out of 4. I might ask them, well, how many pieces should I divide the clock into? 4, how do you know? Because you get down with your denominator, and D denominator says divided into. So I always tell my students, when you want a 4th, D denominator says I'm divided into 4. What do we know about fractions, you could ask? What do we know about fractional pieces? Well, the fractional pieces should be congruent, same size, same shape. All right, how many of these 4ths should I shade? 1, yeah, because numerator, you nod that numerator, says know what you're looking for. So we're going to shade in 1 of the 4. So what do we call this when how many pieces are there? There are 4. Well, do y'all remember what we call 1/4 of time? No, we don't call it 15 minutes. What do we call it? And if they don't remember, go, okay, well, if I made this into a dollar bill, what 4 coins do we need to make $1? Quarters. So when you shade in 1/4, you shade in 1/4. And I always tell the kids, because this is the way you trick them into talking like mathematicians. Go, carpenters and stuff, when they measure, they don't say 1/4, they say 1/4 of an inch. Or 3/4, meaning 3/4, because 4 quarters make dollars. So 1/4, 1/4. So instead of saying fourths, we could say quarters. You could always tell the kids to draw. There's 1/4, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. 4 quarters make $1. 4 quarters make a whole clock. But what's the difference? Well, a quarter in money is 25 cents. And what's a quarter in time? They might, hopefully they'll say 15. Well, let me see. 5, 10. Yep, a quarter is 15. Let me see. 5, 10. Yep, that quarter's 15 too. 5, 10. All right, so quarters of time are 15. All right, well, 3/4. Okay, 3/4. What else could I call it? If you're in fourths, what are we in? And if they don't remember, it'd be like, well, what did we call this? We called it a quarter. 1/4. So if we have 3/4, we have 3 quarters of an hour. So why does it matter which 3 we shade? Technically in fractions, no, as long as you shade 3 of the 4. But in a clock, you're going to want to go in clockwise order. So here's 1/4, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. All right, 3/4 of an hour is blank minutes. Well, let's count together. Everyone, I want y'all to jump and count by 5s. 5, 10, are y'all jumping? 15, everyone should be counting. 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So 3/4 is 45 minutes. Now, if I want to get really, really smart, here we go. 45 minutes, right? How many minutes are right here? Hopefully they say 15 because they've been listening. This is when you could say it's a quarter till. Let's write that. And I'm going to bubble it to make it important. When your minute hand is on the 9, when it is 45 minutes into an hour, it's 15 minutes until the next hour. So that's why they call it till. So when you're at that 45 minutes and you've got this one little quarter left of time, tick, 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 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's a quarter till the next full hour. Speaking of that, how many minutes are in an hour? Let's write that then somewhere. 60 minutes equals 1 hour. I'd make them write that. All right, so now I want y'all to get your clock manipulatives. Before we begin, I want to ask you some questions. 3:25, so I'm going to draw this one. 3:25, so I'm going to draw a pretend clock real quick. Y'all just watch. Which hand is the hour? The short hand, that's right. How do we know? Short word, short hand. See, Landon's even remembering. Long word, long hand. So I think I'd get them maybe to just, you don't even have to draw the clock, just maybe draw the arrows. Short word, shorter word, shorter hand. Longer word, longer hand. So actually I wouldn't even draw the clock. I would just remind them of that. And say, okay, I want y'all to show me 3:25 on your clock. And I'm going to give you, and when you think you've got it, I would tell them to turn it like, so if this were my clock, I'd turn it and then hold it up and I'd face it to the teacher so they could see my time. So I just want y'all to hold it up when you have 3:25. Or give me, or tell them to give you a thumbs up, because maybe picking it up, maybe the hands will fall. But some sort of system of, yep, I'm ready. And just kind of, I would just meander through and see which one of your kids are getting it or not. And then I would go, well, let me see. I'd go to the overhead, to my clock, and I'd put my hour on 3. And then I would do my minute hand, and I would move it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then I would show them that it should look like, with my manipulative clock, I'd show it on the overhead. And then, all right, ask him for the next one. All right, show me a quarter after 11. How much time is a quarter, y'all, of time?
15 minutes.
I heard someone say 15 minutes. What if I wasn't sure, or I wasn't, what if I couldn't remember? Is there somewhere, oh, I could look right here, look. A quarter is 15 minutes. Okay, so let's write that, 15 minutes. Because our brains do better when we read it, we write it, we say it. So let's say a quarter is 15 minutes. A quarter is 15 minutes. All right, y'all show me a quarter after 11. And then put your thumb up when your clock's ready. You don't have to say a word. Walk around. By this point, you're seeing which kids get this, which don't. Then go to your overhead and go, well, let me see. And that's when on the clock you go, well, it's after 11. So I definitely would want my hour pointing at 11. And a quarter, we said, is 15 minutes. So 5, 10, 15. So this is what it should look like. And if they're wrong, they're wrong. The thing is, they're watching you show them how to do it right. 4:30, ask them, how many minutes is half of a clock? 30. So let's write that, because we're, yeah, do we have it here? Yes. Is it going to hurt us to write it 2 times? No, your hand's not going to fall off. You don't have leprosy. 30 minutes past 4. 4:30 is 30 minutes past 4. Y'all show me that. But I would make them read it, write it, say it up here, here. The more they do it, the more likely it's going to go into long-term memory. And you keep doing that. Now on this one, the 20 minutes till 12, I would remind them, okay, before y'all do this, till. Remember, till means until 12. So, big hint, it is not 12 yet. So when it says until 12, it's saying it's not 12 yet. So show me 20 minutes till 12. And they're probably going to struggle on that one. you know, I would be bragging on some, okay, good job. Or if I'm walking by and they're really stuck, I'd go, well, if it's not 12, what hour is it? What hour is in front of 12? 11. Okay, so start there. Start with 11, and you want 20 minutes before 12 o'clock. So then when I model this one, that's what I'd say, okay, it's not 12. Well, if it's not 12 yet, then it's still 11 because it goes clockwise. So 11 turns to 12. What is it, Lennon? 20 minutes till 12. All right, so here's your 0, right? Well, it's before 12. So 5, 10, 15, 20. And you might be wondering, why did Miss Pierce count to the left? Clockwise is this way. That's right, when you're going forward. But I'm going backward. And I needed, this is 12 o'clock, right? That's the 0 o'clock. Or it's 60, so it's 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Backwards, it's 60, 55, 50, 45, 40. But I went back 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then to read this, I could say, well, that's 11, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So model it. And then I would again make them write the quarters. Make them write that 15 minutes again. Make them write the half again. The more read it, write it, say it. It takes like, I don't know, 30, 50 times to put it in long term. Remind them, till 6. Till means not 6 yet. So if it's not 6, it's the hour in front. All right, on this section, I would say, all right, I want you all to read the directions together. So let's all read this together. Use your clock manipulative to show me the following start end time. Then we're going to use the clock to find missing time. And we're going to shade in the clock and draw number lines to show our work. So on y'all's clock, show me 5:25. So they should find 5:25. And go, and that's when I would go, okay, well, to draw this, instead of showing my manipulative, I'm going to do this. 5 is the hour, and I'm going to label that H, short word, shorthand. And these are my minutes. Maybe I probably should use the correct abbreviations. That help kids. Hour minutes. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So it's going to look like that. It's kind of overlapping. 5:25. You could even label that if you want, 5:25. All right, now, using your clocks, I want the ending time to be a quarter of an hour later. So y'all show me on your clock what y'all think a quarter of an hour after this is. And give them a minute. Don't write down 15 minutes anymore. Y'all have written it down a lot. All right? After you see most ready, notice I said most. You cannot wait every time for every kid. If most of them are ready, keep it moving. All right, y'all, how long is a quarter of time? 15 minutes. Okay, and we want to go later than this time. So I'd go 5, 10, 15. So it's 5, but now it's on the 8. So this is 25, 30, 35, 40. So now it is 5:40. Now, we used our manipulatives. I want to use a number line. So, number line. And let's start it. Let's do a 5 o'clock. And what's the next hour? 6 o'clock. And how many minutes are half of a clock? 30. So this would be 5:30. And when we jump minute or numeral to numeral, how many minutes is it? 5. All right, so I want to go like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So I want y'all to watch that again. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And do you notice how they're spaced accurately, congruent? Y'all take a minute. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. And that's going to take them a minute. And then I would do it on the other side, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Once they get that, find 525. Well, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I'd make mine label it 525. We need to go later by a quarter. So 5, so it's like this plus 5, 10, 15. Well, what time is this? Well, that's 30, 35, 40. So this is what I mean by using a number line. Now, the good news is once I've drawn one, if I'm smart, and I would show the kids this, use your pencil kind of, you'd make your next number line, there's that half. So you use the marks to kind of help you, if that makes sense, line up your next ones. The only difference is when you do this one, it's 10:35. So we're between 10 and 11. Now, this is the last step. Y'all should first show 10:35 on the manipulative. So the kids are doing that. Then when you see most of them done, go, well, okay, that's my hour. 35. Well, here's what I know. At this point, I'm going to start saying this with my kids. I know half a clock is how much? 30. So this is 35 then. So my minute hand's on 35. And you know what? If you're past half, then this minute hand is not sitting on the 10. I mean the minute hand. The hour hand is now halfway between the hours because you're past half. In fact, it's starting to tilt toward 11 more. So this is when you're teaching them some good accuracy. So they use their manipulative to show you. Then y'all are going to draw it. We want to go 25 minutes later. Well, let's use this. You use your manipulatives. Let's use our manipulative. So you could get your manipulative, and let's take our minute hand and let's count 25. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So if they're actually using their clocks, and you could use yours on the overhead, it's the next hour. So it's straight up 11 o'clock. Then that's when I know, well, I'm between 10 and I need to get to 11. So half of a clock is 30 minutes. So this would be 10:30. And what do we know? Clocks jump by minute, numeral to numeral by minutes. 5s. All right, well, we're starting at 35. So here's 10:35. All right, we're going to hop 25 minutes. So as we jump, we're going to count for 25. So 5, y'all see what I mean? Y'all do it with me. 5, 10, there we go, 15, 20, 25. Put your point and 25 minutes. So 10:35 plus 25 minutes is 11. And that's what they're going to do for this. So then you get to this ending time. All right, so first I want y'all to show me 1/2 past. So they should show it to you. And then go, okay, well, I'm going to draw it. So 1/2 past. Here's what I know. Half is half of the clock. So I know my minute hand, the long word, the long minute is halfway. And it's past 1 o'clock. Well, if you're moving past something, you're going by it. So it's past 1. And you know what? If you're halfway, that hour hand should be halfway between 1 and 2. Now, if you pointed to 1, I'm going to give you credit, but, you know, you want to be really accurate, that's correct. So let's draw that in. And then after they draw it in, now, here's the trick. This is the ending time. We are ending at 1:30. I would make them write that because nowhere does it say 1:30. So we're at the end of the race. If you're at the end and you want the start, we have to work backwards. So on a clock, that would be working backwards. So we need to go 20 minutes earlier. So we're not going forward in time, we're moving backwards. So that might be confusing to do the arrow like that. So let's use our minute hand and go 20 minutes earlier than this. So I would use my manipulative on the overhead. 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, well, 2 represents how many minutes? 5, 10. Okay, so 20 minutes earlier, it was 1:10. All right, on a number line, I'd go ahead and make them draw the hours again, because that way it'll help them on the rest. So we're between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And then what do we know half is? 1:30. And we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hash marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hash marks. Now, see, those are not well drawn, so that's why I use erasers. So maybe a little smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be Owen over there making noise. 5 marks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes. 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more digits. 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 minutes. 60 minutes is the hour. All right, so what should we mark first? 1:30. Bam. Earlier. Earlier means you have to go earlier. You have to go back 20 minutes. So let's jump and count 20. 5, 10, 15, 20. What time is that? Well, it's 5:10. It's 1:10. So using your number line. You could do something, I mean, like you're at 1:30 and you go, back that way. It doesn't matter. I like the jumping. Starting time, we're 1/4 till 3. What do we know that till means?